This is the Pulsebeat. It's said that every inspiration starts with a spark, and we're here to ignite a fire. Join us as we showcase conversations from esteemed experts in a multitude of specialties. You'll find experts discussing topics that stimulate, inspire, and encourage. From the famous and familiar to the lesser known, the Pulsebeat will be your go-to for stirring up a sense of truth and optimism. A podcast that pulses truth with every interview and story, bringing hope into dark places.
Welcome back to the Pulsebeat podcast. I'm Mike Smith, a former NBA basketball player, very average at that, current NBA television broadcaster, maybe a little better at that, very mediocre golfer to the rest of the world, very good golfer in my own mind, but that never matters. And I'm joined by Keith Clearwater. Keith Clearwater is a fantastic human being, a former PGA Tour winner, former PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. I could go on and on. He is the model of fitness. He was Tiger Woods before Tiger Woods when it came to fitness and golf. We both believe in and sponsor and love Cardio Miracle. And this is our podcast. And our guest today is one Brian Santiago. Brian Santiago is a local boy like to me now because I live in Utah, but he went to Provo High School. And he's one of many successful Santiago boys. I may get into that at some point and kind of try and discover where this greatness comes from. But he was a fantastic athlete in high school, basketball player, baseball player, went on to play college baseball, even professional basketball and Olympic basketball for his native Puerto Rico, even though he's a Puerto Riqueño Americano. He and his wife, Kim, have McKay and Colson and Jackson Trey, who I think just came home from a mission. And of course, the incomparable Whitney, who is got a personality even bigger than his. And he's currently the Associate Athletic Director of Brigham Young University. He's a golf enthusiast and nice enough to join us. Keith, I got to tell you, the first time I saw Brian, I was on a date with Kim Anderson. She was a senior in high school, and she asked me to take her to the Provo Timpview basketball game. I was a sophomore in college, and of course, it was at Provo High, and there's Brian making the game-winning free throws. I didn't know who Brian was at the time, but I looked at him and I said, this kid's got some moxie. Like he just stepped up making shots. The second time I saw Brian was maybe 6 months later. I'm running the pickup games at the Smithfield House on Brigham Young University. And he's just this high school senior sitting in the stands on the front row, twiddling his thumbs, chomping at the bit, waiting to get in the college pickup games. So again, the moxie, right? And the confidence to step into the big games. And I think I got tired of seeing him over there. And I said, hey, you young guy, you come play on my team. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is we've been inseparable ever since. Is that not true, B?
That was a great moment, and one that I've remembered and talked about because, you know, to have somebody like you in that gym with all those players to say, hey, I want you on my team. The confidence was huge. But I'm excited to join you guys today too. Beautiful human beings that I have a ton of respect for. I'm grateful to spend a little time with you. We all love golf, and we all love sports, and we all love BYU. So it's fun to jump on and talk a little bit with you guys about life.
We may get into the golf thing. We may just go on a tangent with golf. I don't know if we'll go there yet. But Keith, you've seen Brian on the golf course. He is the most confident. Brian still competes in a couple of things, golf, and he still plays pickup basketball, and he'll challenge anyone to a shooting contest, like deep three. And I don't know if I've ever met anyone with as much confidence as he has, like even more than I have.
Well, I've got to interrupt. I've got to just say something. We've had putt-offs at Steve Young's events for years. And his stupid confidence when he gets over a putt of 60 feet is intimidating to me. Okay. Yeah. And I play professional golf. So what's cool though is this belief, this deep belief system carries through from obviously professional basketball and baseball and all the things that Brian's done in his life. But there is something important. We joke about it because he's won watches and he wins everything at these things, and he gets it done. But there's something real and important about carrying that sense of I can get it done. And there's something real about that carries over into everything. I think as associate as athletic director, BYU sports, you're part of the culture. You bring this unique just joy. I mean, and whenever I see you, it's like just simple things. I see you and I say, I love that hat. At the end of the day, he hands it to me. In a competition, for putting, it's like, I'm ready. Give me my putter. And he got the hole. I mean, he's just fearless. And I don't know. I love living life that way. I think there's something way greater than the joke we have about his confidence.
Yeah.
It's real. There's something deep there that I'd like Brian to kind of talk to that and speak to that and where it came from and how it affects every part of your life. You've been a bishop in our church. You've been a host of things in life, but it's a big part of you, and it's why you're so successful.
Brian,
and I'd just like to hear about it.
Brian, tell us where that comes from.
Yeah.
But also take it to the next step. Can you teach that to another? Yeah. Can you give that to a child or someone else?
Yeah, and listen, guys, you're super kind and complimentary. I'm a humble kid from as my dad used to say, from East Provo. But we come from a family where there was a deep sense of belief. And I think it starts there. I always took a lot of confidence as a young boy. I spent a lot of time alone in gyms. I spent a lot of time but I took a lot of confidence in knowing who I was. I knew that I wasn't walking life alone. I always felt, as a young boy, our parents instilled a work ethic in us that we could do it, that we could accomplish whatever we wanted to accomplish. They provided opportunity for us, but we had to go do it. But as a young boy, working a paper route, where I wasn't working a paper route to get paid. I was working a paper route because I was helping our family. Everybody was all in for each other. We were doing everything. And I used to walk around on my paper route and have open conversations with Heavenly Father, with God. And I would tell him about all my dreams and all the things that I wanted to do and all the things I wanted to be. And I always felt like I was walking with him. I just really had a deep sense of belief. And, we do kind of maybe joke a little bit about it, but this is the way I live my life. I believe the ball's going in when I shoot it. I believe the putt's going in when I hit it. I believe, and especially in golf, I believe every time I hit it, it's supposed to go a certain direction. It doesn't always go where it's supposed to. But when I stand over the ball, that's what I think's happening. And it's just the way I've always lived. I always felt like I had to believe. Like I always say to people, you gotta believe. And I have 6 letters that are over my door at my office. 3 of them are FAW.
Find a way.
Find a way. And the other ones are NLU, never let up. I think it ties in all of it. Work ethic, doing everything that we can do, and having a belief system that we can really go do it. And so I believed from an early age. When I got into sport, I was mentored and taught and was around some of the most powerful people in the world in sports. I mean, I've been around people, and I point at you guys, I point at Ainge, these are people that became mentors to me, that I saw them walk on the floor or walk in life and be like, yeah, we're going to go get it. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go get it. But from an early age, my coaches at Provo High instilled in us a belief system. I literally grew up from 3rd grade on believing that my team would win every single game we played. Losing was the end of the world. We were never going to lose a game, no matter what it was. I'm not joking you. If we lost a game at Provo High in my 4 years at Provo High, I think we lost 7 games, 8 games. The locker room after, I thought the world was going to end. Complete silence, devastation. So I came through systems where I didn't think there was any alternative. We were born to win. We're gonna win. Life's about winning, and we're gonna find a way to win. That's just the way. So from Provo High to my coaches at Utah Valley, to my coaches at Fresno State, to my coach in Puerto Rico, which was Butch Lee, a name you guys both know.
You mean 1977 Marquette?
Yes, I mean that was my coach, and from the first time we walked on the floor together, and it was night, and it was just the two of us. He, after like 5 minutes, was like, "Yo, you ever gonna miss?" Like, I was like, "No, they're all supposed to go in." He was like, "I like you already." It just, it's what it was. So I tie that back in a deep sense of reverence to my parents, to my relationship with my Heavenly Father, a belief system that I'm not walking this life alone, that I got people in my corner at all times. And I just believe. And Mike, you say something really important. Can we teach it? Yes, we can. And we can teach it not by telling people how to do it. It's by walking the path with them. Hey, come with me. I'm super blessed every day to be around some of the most talented student athletes in the country. And the way we teach it is to walk with them, to reassure them, to instill a belief system. The most powerful words in the world is looking somebody in the eye and saying, "I believe in you.
No,
I got you." And constantly, I mean, Mike, you give a simple example. You saying, "Hey, yo, I want you to come out here and play with me." Well, I'm not scared. The best player in the gym just said, "Yo, I want you on my team." You didn't have to do anything other than invite me to come. And I went out there and was like, "Yeah, he believes I can do it. I'm going to do it." And so I think there's something to that. You can teach it, but you do it in everyday, authentic, organic ways of loving people, of lifting people, everybody around you, making them believe that they can do it. And I think it's not by word, but just by a belief system, walking up to people. And I could talk on this because it's something that's super moving to me. But my dad never spent any time telling me where to move on the floor, how to shoot a shot. He would walk up to me after I played and say, "I love watching you play the game."
no, wow.
It wasn't, "Hey, you missed that assignment," or, "Hey, that was a nice 3-pointer." Those types of things. So I find myself with all these athletes that I'm around all the time doing the same thing. "Gosh, I love watching you play. You're worth the price of admission. It is so much fun to watch you compete. You're such a great leader. I love how you lift everyone around you."
Wow.
It's nothing to do with what they did in the game, but when they walk away, they got to start feeling like, "Oh my gosh, people believe in me. They think I can do this." And that's where I find a lot of joy. I find a lot of joy in that.
It truly changes their capability by you giving them that gift of self-belief and just pulling them up. It changes their abilities. It raises them up without changing one fundamental that they may be working on. I just love that. I can't wait till we can dismiss this concept of false humility as being some kind of quality. When we act all lowly and humble, humility has a place. But this kind of fake humility where we'll never say we can do it, we can never get it done, we shouldn't believe in ourselves too heavily. I love what you're talking about, having faith in God and your maker, and really, from where you come from. What you're saying is so powerful for those listening.
It's the confidence. That's our self-worth. Tammy Runia the other day taught a room full of girl dads the same concept, hand high up in the air. This is your worth. That comes from your Heavenly Father. That comes from heavenly power. All this other stuff that we try to do every day, that's not your self-worth. This is your self-worth. We have to have, they teach us in the scriptures, like, we can walk with confidence.
Yes.
If we do some other things, we can stand with a lot of confidence. Right? And so I just think that there's such powerful lessons being relayed, and humility is about a willingness to learn, about a willingness to say, "Hey, we're not always right. Like, sometimes we all swing and miss. Sometimes we miss on things. We don't do everything just right. We make mistakes. Humility is in my mind, the willingness to acknowledge that we have weaknesses and look to the Savior to say, hey, I need your help, and to be willing to learn from people. I listen, there is a confidence. You guys are two of the most confident guys. When I watch you guys compete, you believe, but you've also had people that have elevated you, that have believed in you, that have helped you get there. And you also do have a humility to want to learn. You're two of the guys that are always trying to find ways to better yourselves, things out there in the world that can help other people. You know, I know you guys are passionate about this cardio miracle, but not just for what it's doing for you. You really believe that it's going to help other people, that it's going to help other people elevate their health, their well-being. And so I think that's the magic sauce, you guys, is our willingness to want to see outside of ourselves and lift other people around us and help people and empower people so that they can go and chase their dreams. That's why I love sports.
Yeah.
I love to be around the coaches because I want these people to believe they can go conquer the world.
I love the work that precedes the confidence. I always have.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always believed that confidence was my biggest asset on the basketball court, or if it's now and I'm competing in pickleball or golf. I believe that, of course, you got to believe. And Keith, nobody believes like this guy. Like when I come around to his station at the father-son camp and there's 60 boys and 60 dads, Brian will say, come on, we're going to have a little contest from top of the key. And in my mind, I'm thinking, there's nobody in the world that can outshoot me from top of the key. I'm going to make 43 in a row right now. And Brian will get right next to me and we'll go one shot after another and won't miss for 40 some odd shots. And the kids are screaming at us and the dads are standing there with their mouths open. But Brian, you know, and I know there's a work that preceded that, because otherwise we couldn't step up with that belief. Yeah. Talk about, I love digging out my short game in the dirt in golf. I just, in my mind, nobody's going to outwork me at this shot, that shot, this shot, this shot, a bump and run, a flop, a one checker, a bunker shot. And I feel like I've paid the price to step up over a ball and be able to hit that shot with confidence. Talk about work. I know the Lord loves effort.
Yeah, the Lord rewards effort.
You didn't just become the most confident putter in the world or the greatest driver of the golf ball at Riverside Country Club I hope that's the case this weekend. I hope that's the case this weekend. I hope they all go straight. But and I know that this is something that I think is lost sometimes on this newer generation, is that work that precedes, that belief when you get out there, because you're so prepared. Like, I love to hear Ray Allen talk about his workouts and how that played itself out at the highest level for the world championship, making shots because he had done it so many times. It was just, but I'm looking at two guys on the screen that got to the very top, right? The reality of it is you're two guys that got to the very top, the 1% that play at the very top of your sports. I know how much time I witnessed it on the one side in basketball. Mike, I still say that I really believe, I don't know if there's ever been a better offensive player, and it's not saying anything about the rest of your game, but I watched you torch NBA guys. They could not handle you. Keith, you're the rookie of the year on the PGA Tour. You guys both know it, but I think it's lost on this generation, the work that it takes, the amount of time you have to put in to be able to stand there and to this day go out and make 50 shots in a row, to be able to stand over the golf shots. You're both tremendous. I don't spend enough time on my golf game, but I just, I'd like to be out there as much as I can. But when you say speak to it, I think of how many mornings at 6 a.m.
My dad's in the gym with us, and we're making 500 shots. We weren't shooting 500. We were making 500 before we left the gym. That was just became part of it. And then those times of bonding with my dad, wondering why in the world he'd want to sit there and rebound for me. It's just because he wanted to spend time. He was literally just wanted to spend time. But the amount of time we were there in that gym, the amount of time in these gyms right around here at BYU, Provo High School, early morning workouts, running, early on, these things were instilled in us. Provo High, we had shirts that said 4, 6, 12, 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, 12 months a year. We wore it with pride. Like, this is what we do. This is how we're going to become great. The amount of time in batting cages, squaring those balls up, being able to just mash baseballs over and over and over again, so that when you get in big moments, it's just natural. It's instant. You know what you're doing, and you know what's coming. And so I just think all of that combined is what gives you that belief system. You got no chance. And we say, I talk to these athletes all the time and just talk to them about, there's a correlation between the greatest players in the world and work ethic. That you look at how many. I played in the Corn Ferry event yesterday. These guys, the way they golf their ball, it's unbelievable. How many guys are at that level, and then how many guys can elevate?
That's right.
Take that next step. There's so many guys right here who can take that next step. So I think that's a big part of what you're expressing. The work ethic, the effort that goes into mastering whatever it is, whether it's piano, whether it's the arts, whether it's dance, whether it's sports, it doesn't matter what it is. You can't be great if you're not willing to invest the time to build on the God-given talents that are so different for each one of us. That can't be lost either, is we're all blessed with these different talents and abilities. And then what do we do with them? We're taught that in the scripture. So
you said 6 a.m. Don't discount the 11 o'clock in the evening random phone call to pull you out of bed to come play pickup ball.
And would I show up? I always going to show up. Mike, Keith, this is, but I think, but here's the thing.
Love that.
Number one, I loved that he cared enough to call. But here's the thing. In this world that we live in today, how many people show up? We got to show up.
Yeah,
we got to show up for other people. We got to show up when we say we're going to do something. We have to show up, because if we don't, we're going to get lost. And this is the other thing. It gets me animated.
I love it.
I went to an event the other day, and one of our student athletes, unsolicited, when we invited them to come to the event, was like, yeah, I'm in. The night before, can't wait to see you tomorrow. And then the next day they don't show up.
What?
No, you start calling, are you okay? Is everything okay? No response. And then the next day you run into them. And I'm obviously just looking at it. I didn't say anything. I was just looking at them. And they walk up and they're like, oh, my bad. I was like, no. It's not a my bad. You have to understand, when you don't show up, nobody's going to invest in you.
That's so true.
Nobody's going to invest in you. And I had taught them right then, people are going to call me and not ask if you can play the game at a high level. They're going to ask me about your character and whether you're good to your word and whether you do what you're going to say you're going to do. And what am I supposed to tell them? And I told them, I reassured them, I love you. I want to help you. I'll go through a wall for you. But nobody's going to invest in you. You didn't show up. And you didn't even have the courtesy to say, B, I can't make it.
Mm.
And so, I just think this generation, and Mike said that, but if either of you call me, or if I called either of you and said, I need you, I know you're going to show up. And I'm going to show up. I will be there. I might be a couple minutes late. I will be there.
You'll come in hot.
I'll come into the tee box. If we have an 8 o'clock time, I'll be there at 7:59, or maybe 8 o'clock. but I'm going to be there. You don't have to wonder. And so I think it's another really important lesson for people to learn in life, that we have to show up. We have to show up for other people. We have to show up when people least expect it. They need to look over and go, oh my gosh. Somebody was telling me last night that what they learned in a really difficult time in their life, when somebody in their family was in a really bad place with their health, that it was unbelievable to their family. The people that they thought would show up never showed up. But they took notice of the people that did show up that were the most unlikely. The most unlikely people were the ones that were showing up to take care of their family, showing up to take their kids out, showing up to do things. It wasn't the people they expected. So I always try to teach these athletes, we got to be the generation that's going to show up. When you say you're going to be there, when you're going to do something, because if you can't show up in the little things, how are you going to show up when it's on the line, when you have to perform? You're not going to be able to. You got to show up every single time. So when you call me at 11 o'clock and I just told my baseball coach that there's no chance I'll play basketball before the region baseball tournament, and you call me and say, I need you there, I show up and sprain my ankle, maybe I shouldn't have showed up to that one, but I always show up.
I felt so bad.
You know, it's such a gift. Yes, you expect and love those that do show up, but that gift that they give themselves by showing up is what builds the character to show up in bigger ways. It's so important, you know, demanding from somebody, but then having them meet that demand and build who they are and build a sense of self-worth. It's so powerful. I mean, what you're talking about, I just think is life, is everything that we want to incorporate in these young athletes that you're dealing with. Tell us a little about BYU sports. What's on the top of what's stressing you out today that you're trying to manage? Or
well, first of all, you all need to know it's sheer joy. It's sheer joy for me. Everybody knows it's not all peaches and cream. We got some big challenges ahead. We're trying to climb a huge mountain. It's like the greatest thing ever to try to help facilitate these coaches and these student athletes to chase their dreams. And we've launched into this Big 12, and we're right there. We're right there competing at the highest level across the board. Our programs are really solid. Football's kicking off. Basketball has just gone through a whole transformation that has kind of just, I think, exceeded everyone's expectations. But you know, the thing right now that's probably the most pressing, that is weighing on everybody, Keith and Mike, is this settlement and this revenue sharing, the NIL collective world, starting most likely in 2025. We're going to be paying up to $22 million a year out of the athletic department in revenue sharing with our student athletes.
Wow.
I mean, guys, can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine? I mean, Mike, I mean, hey, listen, and not just Mike, Keith, it's flowed right into the golf world too. Make no mistake about it. One or two guys in a golf team can change your whole program. So you can start seeing how, you know, this revenue share is a big deal. Basketball, Mike, it's massive. And then football is the king. Everybody knows it. Like, they drive 75% of the revenues is coming through football. We have to find a way to build a culture in this new world where we are doing it the right way, doing it with integrity, making good on our commitments. And we have to be in the game. You're trying to tell people, hey guys, if we say, hey, come to BYU because it's BYU and this is a beautiful place and you're going to meet your future spouse and you're going to get this great education, they're all going to go, oh my gosh, it is a beautiful place and we'd love to be there. But we're going to go right over here where they're going to take care of my family for the next 10 years. If we're not in the game, we got no chance. So that's a big part of what we're trying to navigate right now, is this new world of NIL collectives, making sure that we're in the game with these student athletes, making sure that we're investing in the right coaches, right? Making sure people understand. I mean, there's, people are out there thinking that somehow, some way with this new basketball situation, that this was an outside entity or outside entities that invested to help us. No, this is BYU athletics. We're the ones that invested in Kevin Young. We're the ones invested in Kalani Sitake. We're the ones that are investing and trying to make sure we're investing in the right coaches to take these student athletes and let them fly, and trying to figure out and manage. We're basically now running a $150 million business that's just going to continue to grow, and doing that the right way, totally aligned with BYU, the mission. President Reese is a phenomenal leader, has just kind of helped us stand on the shoulders of President Worthen and President Samuelson and help us climb this mountain. Totally 100% invested in athletics, but we have to align with the university, do this the right way in a world that nobody has all the answers for. We're running a professional sports organization now, in essence, with no governing rules.
Brian, is this in place, or do you see this becoming a part of NIL and the deal with student athletes, where they have to one day sign a contract that says they'll stay at the school or graduate from the school? Don't you think that's a part of what should happen?
Yeah, I love that you asked that question, Mike, because that's what we are trying to do. It's becoming very transactional everywhere else, but we're trying to teach these student athletes that your word means something, your commitment means something. It's a two-way street.
Right.
And right now it's not a two-way street.
Oh.
So you go in and they are signing contracts with collectives and NIL collectives, NIL companies. But what's happening is it's a one-way deal. We're committing to them, but if they decide, somebody else is giving me a good offer, they're going to walk out the door. And then you say to them, wait, what about your word? You just signed this contract. This is where it gets concerning. They're looking at you saying that stuff doesn't matter anymore. And then you're like, no, 20-second timeout. You're going to get crushed in life. If you don't think your word and contracts matter, you're going to get crushed. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to have the educational piece. We're trying to have the piece where they're in the game, where they're signing agreements, where it's a two-way street. But now you can imagine the responsibility on our coaches to create a culture where they want to be at BYU, be in the game. They have to be in the game financially, but they want to be here for all the other reasons, and they're locked into the culture of the program. Because if that's all in place, you got a chance to keep them. But if anything's out of whack, you got too much coming at them. Hey, we'll give you this much. We'll give you that much. We'll do this. And a lot of other schools are making empty promises because nobody's governing the contracts.
Right.
So you got schools just going, hey, by the way, you're not playing good. We're not paying you. Well, wait a second. You got to pay me. No, we're not paying you. Okay, then I'm leaving. Or I'm walking in the middle of the season saying to the coach, either put me in the game or I'm out.
Wow.
Pay me more money or I'm out. We're in this professional world that's not governed like all the other pro sports franchises. You got contracts. You got to make good on your contracts. It's a two-way street. I mean, there's things in the NBA where you got players coming saying, hey, it's a contract year for me. I need to be on the floor.
Sure.
Yeah. But they're not walking in and saying, hey, pay me an extra $100,000 next month or I'm leaving. It's a challenge, but it's something that we're embracing because this is the new world we're in, and we got to find a way to have it be our strength, to be out ahead of it so that we can be nationally relevant, do it the right way, and have people everywhere say, at least at BYU, when they tell you they're going to do something, they do it. They make good on their commitments.
We got 4 minutes left.
Okay.
You got one of the greatest ball strikers in the world in your presence. Ask him any golf question you want. Give us the state of your golf game. How was your recent trip to Ireland? What do you try?
I came home early. My son Jackson, as you mentioned, just came home off his mission on Saturday. So I flew home early from that trip. They're playing at Adair Manor today.
Oh.
Okay, they played Lahinch, Ballybunion, Doonbeg this week.
Without you?
And without me, but I got the European club. I got the European club. I got the K club. It was a great week.
Oh no!
But they're they're on a heater right now, is what I say. I
Yeah.
don't think the girls have any idea how good the trip is. But I came home to be home for for Jackson, so that when he came home off his mission, he just got home. It's been heavenly. Super blessed. I got 4 beautiful kids and lots of good going on. But guys, I love the game of golf. Keith, I love the game of golf. It gets me so excited to be around the best players in the world, to watch them play, to be around you. But here, I'm going to say this, and this is important. I get around you guys. I love that you can golf your ball, Keith. But it's never been about that for me, because all I know about you is every time around you, you're so kind, and I leave feeling so much better about myself. You've always just extended yourself in such a kind way that I actually feel like we have a connection that goes way beyond sport. We've had some great conversations. You've given me great advice. We've counseled on stuff together, but just the way you treat people and the way I see you making people feel at these corporate events on the golf course, making people feel like they belong out there and teaching them and loving them. That's what I say to you. So if you can give me something that can help my one-hand chipping, or I'm really not worried about that. You guys just know I'm going to will the ball into the hole. But I say that as we're kind of winding down. My respect for both of you, especially Keith, as I've been around these golf events. You've just always been kind to me when you didn't need to be.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you. And that's so kind, and maybe more than I deserve. But I just love the camaraderie. I think we're all so privileged to know and meet and hang with the people we do. These super athletes that have come out of BYU that we're all friends with. I mean, they're actually friends. I mean, I give lessons 4 times a week to Steve Young on the video. We're just talking. I mean, we just have this unique fun. And you're a big part of that. Mike's a big part of that. We're really lucky. I really feel privileged because I can hit a little white golf ball for a period of time in my life to have the associations that last forever. And I mean forever. Yeah. These are friendships 100 years from now. We'll talk about, remember when we battled at BYU to get into the Big 12 and this, and I mean, it'll be that we're all hanging and supporting and helping each other. And I think it's a big part of life. And that's what you're doing. You're creating a culture at BYU that's so cool. That's so great. And is unafraid to be confident. I just want to end with one little thought, and then I'll let Mike finish. I know you're a Cardio Miracle user. That's why we got you on here. Actually, not the only reason. We just love you and all the things you bring that we've already pointed out. But tell me how you incorporate Cardio Miracle into what are some of the other things you do in life to stay fit and battle manage all the stress and the things. You've got 50 areas that you're over at BYU, and they all take your time and attention. Yet you gotta have a body that functions and works. What do you do? I mean, how do you keep fit at this age?
Yeah, I do want to just touch for a second on what you were talking about with the associations. To me, it starts and stops with gratitude, right? Each day, like, think about the gratitude that we should feel to God for the opportunities that we have, the associations we have, the opportunity I try to instill in our players every time you get to tee the ball in the ground, every time you get to walk to the center circle and they throw that ball up, every time you get a line up and run onto that football field, it's a blessing. Like, if you can't feel it and that gratitude. So I love that you touched on that. I try to stay healthy. Mike knows this. I joke about it a little bit, but it's just my mantra. Everybody goes, "What do you do? How do you stay fit?" Because they know how much I love food. And I say I'm on the eat to win diet. I eat, I exercise, I try to keep my mind right. I try to keep myself physically fit. But there are products that come to the table sometimes that actually make a difference. And so I think hydration is a super important thing. I think having good blood flow is a really important thing. I will tell you guys, the reason that I started taking Cardio Miracle, and I carry the packets in my golf bag, because I'm usually going to be out there on the golf course. And on that trip, every morning I would pop one, is because I just started to have, my hands were getting tingly all the time. I didn't think my circulation was very good. And between you two, Tom Holmo, who I've joined at the hip by, who's one of the greatest mentors and friends anybody could ever have to work with, and I've been with him over 20 years. Danny Ainge, who just swears by this cardio miracle. They were like, B, you need to start taking this. It's made a difference for us. So I started taking it, and it's made a difference for me. I actually feel better when I take it throughout the day. I've noticed that my hands are not getting as tingly as they once were. I feel like it's helping with my circulation. So I also have, there's some heart history in my grandparents and my lines, and so I want a healthy heart. And Ainge told me that he had all of his medical people look into this, and they all say it's real. This is a real product. So I'm a believer. I'm taking it, and it's helping me, and I feel better. And mind you, I'm coming off a health episode where I was not well for 3 or 4 months, and had some stomach issues, and I feel back to 100%, and I want to do things, and I'm eating better. I'm eating healthier foods. I'm exercising more, and I'm playing golf because I'm convinced golf's the only sport in heaven, and we need to live good lives so that we can play golf in heaven. But it really has helped me, and I'm not a rah-rah guy. I'm just not. I try to take things that I really believe can help me, and this has helped me. So that's why I use it.
Perfect.
I just read this morning, the Lord's course is one eternal round.
There you go.
So
It is what it is. I'm convinced that we live a good life and bless the lives of everybody around us. When we get there, they're going to say, job well done. We have a lot of work to do, but you do get to go right there to the first tee at Pebble Beach. That's right there. And you get to go and tee off and have a little virgin pina colada, and then you're on your way. That's just how it's going to be. So that's how I go.
That's awesome.
Brian, thank you. Keith, thank you. Great stuff. We don't want you having tingly hands. We want you
I got to have my hands.
Making putts. And this has been wonderful. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, great to be with you guys.
Thank you, Brian.
Keep flying.
It. Okay, you too.
Keep making a difference. All right.
See you
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.